everybody, live from our Missouri studios. I am True Powers Mine, and this is TPIM SR Live. Yes. Today is the day that our destiny has truly begun. For those that don't know, the GoFundMe for the hub is up. Better living, better world. And it's important that we kind of do this while we can. If you don't believe me, listen to this brilliant gentleman. Thank you, Brother Murder. Thank you. Listen to this man and realize this is coming to a school near you.
Thank you, everyone, for your exceptional patience. I'll tell you, this is not the way I meant to appear before you today. I meant to,
I will tell you this thing right now. Forget what this gentleman looks like. Oh, you can call him a troll, blah, blah, blah. All that stupid shit. It's irrelevant. The way he's doing his rap is like some other groups do their rap. You can't beat them rapping to them. You can't beat them in their argument. He already sets the perimeters, and he got his shit down. That's why the gullible saps out there who aren't strong in spirit, who aren't strong in faith, who aren't strong in wanting to serve the Most High, but who are in power, will ultimately fall to his rap. You all listen up and listen closely.
Grab a shower, freshen up, maybe change my shirt, something like this. But as it happens, this is an appropriate shirt for this venue anyway. Yeah, but the plane had a 2.5-hour delay sitting on the tarmac with no air conditioning for a good hour. So that was a bucket. And I know that my peers will have a very different opinion about this. Some of them want to argue that these people are sincere, and it's possible to be sincere, but I don't think it's possible to be sincere when you're a pro, not when you're doing creationism. So I became an activist back around Y2K in response to a number of concerted efforts to undermine science education, not just in my state, but nationwide. Anyway, yeah, but the plane had a 2.5-hour delay sitting on the tarmac with no air conditioning for a good hour. So that was a bucket of chuckles. Yeah, a nice roller coaster ride once we got flying because of all the turbulence, which was really, really fun. I was telling the girl next to me to put up her hands and just try to enjoy it. Yeah. And then the other beautiful thing was the landing. Normally, when you come in on a plane, you don't bounce. Yeah, and at least you shouldn't have quite such a hard thud. All right, so I trust everyone can hear me okay? All right, thank you guys for coming out. And this is basically just going to be a rant. The biggest issue that I have with creationism is the fact that and I know that my peers will have a very different opinion about this. Some of them want to argue that these people are sincere, and it's possible to be sincere, but I don't think it's possible to be sincere when you're.
But you got to understand, he's building the crowd up right now. I got to break his spell. He's building the crowd up right now. And I don't think he has to really build up too much. But if you look at the crowd and you look at the program, dog, this has zero thing to do with melanation, but the repercussions of their actions will have drastic impacts in your life. You can sit here and say what you will, but it was spiritual people that fought the Civil War, spiritual people that fought World War II, spiritual people that fought every war. And that's good and bad, because you could argue, well, it wasn't for spirituality. No, the war would have happened. It's just that it wouldn't have concluded in such a righteous way. Let's continue.
A pro, not when you're doing creationism. So I became an activist back around Y2K in response to a number of concerted efforts to
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, brother. Let me put up the number. Unless you already have the number. If not, I'm going to pull it up. And you can call in. This is our show, man. Hold on. There's the call-in 9, brother. I just wanted to show this to you out and to foment this in your brain. Hey, George, welcome to the show, Brother Williams. Welcome to the show. And I want to show you. I want to make sure the phone's up. Yep, the phone's up. We should be good. Yeah, we should be good. All right. If you want to call in, you can call in anytime. Phone lines are open. Hey, caller, welcome to the show.
Peace, brother. What's good, man?
It is all good. It is all good, man. We are working on the hub now. We're working for our platform.
Hey, first thing I want to say is, hey, man, I love the information. Love your show, brother. Hey, you one of the best on YouTube, and I'm honored to be able to speak with you.
Righteous, brother. Thank you. I'm humble, brother. No, seriously, I'm humble. I'm happy that there's a human being out there that gets what I'm trying to do.
Yes. All right. Without further ado, I want to expound on everything that you're speaking on right now, brother.
All right, go for it.
Hey, well, as we see right now, we're in a civil war right now, and I'm talking not just as a people, but as Black people.
Yes.
I mean, we're fighting a gender war. We're fighting a colorism war.
Yes.
We're fighting black man versus man, Pookie and Ray Ray versus the educated lane. We're facing wars on all fronts. But the thing is, here's the thing about it, that unlike yourself and what other people aren't doing, they're not talking about the solutions. They're just capitalizing off of the war.
Yes, they are.
They're just they're using this war. They're using what we're going through just to fuel their their pockets. And I mean, and let's be honest, capitalism has no moral compass. Yes, right. Okay, that's fine and all. But the thing is, if we fail, if I fail, then we all fall.
Yes.
As a collective.
Yes.
I have
a vested interest, brother.
But they don't see it that way, because they're too busy stuck on silly things and not being serious about serious things. They're serious about silly things and silly about serious things.
You heard what I said on the show the other day. You have these hardcore gangster brothers, I killed this nigga, I killed that nigga, I pimped these hoes. But as soon as they get on Colin O'Brien, as soon as they get on Jay, hey, sir, yeah, I got a 401k, I got stock options. You know what I'm saying? We have to get rid of this. I want to tear you down, because I think I'm going to get economic money for tearing my brother down. We got to get past that.
And I'm glad you said that, brother, because now that lets us know that there's a lot of what we call agents. Even if they don't know that they're agents, they're being used as a proxy.
Yes.
Just to fuel a bigger agenda.
And this agenda is what? It's taking you away from your spirituality, taking you away from your sense of self. You don't have the military might, brother, to go against this beast. But I'm telling you, brother, you unite your energy with us, and we can tear these motherfuckers down.
And guess what? And the good thing about it is, brother, people like me and you and others that are listening right now, hey, we are the goddamn resistance.
Yes, the real one, for humanity, for us all. Look.
We are the resistance. We are the resistance. And to piggyback on what you just said, brother, and on what you speak with all the time, is that, right now, in order to know who God is or your people, let's just go there. Who your people is, you got to know yourself. You got to know who you are. You got to know where you came from.
Right.
You have to.
Or else you're lost, brother. Or else you're just picking up ideals that someone gave you along the way.
Exactly. And that's why, and you know what, brother? And that's why, you know, a lot of us as a collective, not all, but a lot of us as a collective, that's why they have so much self-hate. They hate themselves.
Right. Because you hate being on the losing team. Let's say it. Let's say it.
It is.
You hate being on a losing team. You rather the whole game come to a motherfucker end than have to be on the fucking losing team. I say, stop that. Just take a deep breath.
I agree, brother. 100%, man. I definitely agree, man. Hey,
have to quit.
I don't want to take up too much of your show and everything like
brother,
that.
You take up as much time as you need.
Let me know when you're going to do another live stream, brother. I would like to, you know, speak with you, you know, for an hour or so, and we can just, you know, tell it like it is, not like it was.
Exactly, or not like they want it to be, so it can keep
on going
brother. The way it's going. Because, brother, you have a right to live with dignity. You have a right to live with honor, and you have the right to live stress-free.
Exactly. I definitely agree, brother. Well, hey, man, again, I thank you for having me. I'm very humbled, brother. Hey, keep rocking on, man. And I'll put my email in the comment section.
Right on.
Let's do a live stream, brother. And, you know, you pick the topic, and, you know, we going to teach them, brother.
Hey, we'll chop it up. We'll chop it up.
Thank you so much, brother. Peace and blessings.
Hey, brother, before you go, what's your name and where you calling from?
I am the esoteric therapist.
The esoteric therapist, y'all. A member of this thing. A member of this thing. There's so many of us out here. You know, we don't have to raise no flags. We just have to have this right movement. We have to move correctly.
Exactly.
No more talk. Let's start action.
Exactly. Yep.
Right on.
And the thing is, brother, what that said is, and one thing I've noticed about a lot of these YouTubers, you know, or what I call these armchair revolutionaries.
Yes.
One thing I've noticed about them is they do not have a code of conduct.
Right. Right. Because
they don't have a code of conduct. No,
like you said in the beginning, they're agents and they don't even know it. Look, I'm telling you, brother. Listen, don't go out there just sleeping with any old damn chick unless you're willing to die for her. Do yourself and your seed a fucking favor. Abstinence is strength. That's saying that you have control over your fucking so-called animal. You don't forget you're Darwinistic.
Exactly.
You're just a monkey.
Exactly.
Show these people that you're more than that.
And here's the ironic part about it. Abstinence is just as good as fasting.
Yes.
Going without.
Yes. 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 It's power. That's the power.
Here's the thing about it. These Negroes, you know, can talk about, hey, I don't need this, I don't need that. Hey, I can fast for 3 days. Hey, well, go without sex. Can you do that?
Exactly.
If
Quit
you can't,
gaming on the damn girls.
Because what does it say? I mean, what does the saying always goes? A man that leads with his penis cannot lead an army. You can't.
No. Because he'll fall around and sleep.
Because guess what? You're going to lead with emotions and not logic.
Yes. We got to get into critical thinking mode, y'all. We got to get out of these feelings. Brother. We got to get critically thinking and group thinking critically. What's in the best interest for all of us? I'm telling you, the reason why I'm doing this show, I'm showing you out what this man's talking about that's on the screen there for TV viewers.
Yes.
People are going to say, oh, he's a troll. He's ugly. Who cares what this dude looks like? I'm telling you, his rap is so damn strong, it's going to take over the sheeple. And they're going to look at people who believe in the Most High, who believe in spirituality in general, as fucking lunatics.
I agree, 100%. And the thing is about that, why? You know, us as a people, we are so egotistical. Meaning, we got to look at how this brother looks, what he says. Well, if that's the case, what about Pastor Porkchop?
Oh no, he gets a pass. You know? He gets a pass, therapist brother. He gets a pass.
Oh yeah.
You know, because he can make that good fried chicken.
Guess what? He gets a pass. Because haven't you noticed one thing? Here's the thing about it. Hey, we can diagnose everything in the black community, but here's one thing we cannot hold accountable is that black preacher. Why can't we do that?
Because,
did I say that?
Oh no, sacred cows will be slain today. Sacred cows will be slain today, so that you can be free.
Hold on. Hey, brother Truth. Now, now watch this right here. We better watch what we say, because a lot of our grandmothers listen to Pastor Porkchop. Guess what? A lot of our grandmothers, mothers, sisters, they got screwed over or screwed intentionally by Pastor Porkchop. So we gotta watch what we say, because we might step on some coopies.
You know that's right. But you know what? There's been too much pain and suffering, brother. It's time for these people to get a check. It's time for that check to be cashed. We don't have no more time to be fooling around with Pastor Porkchop or fooling around with Pookie and the jump in the car. Let's go and do this thing and try to get over. We're done with that.
Exactly.
That has gotten us zero. Now we're gonna get with the hub. We're gonna get with doing manufacturing things out of the ground for ourselves, brother. Just think about it. We'll have our own land, tax-free, in perpetuity. You'll have your home. I'll have my home. We'll be teaching young brothers and sisters, and we'll have a center there that will be instructing them in the ways of the world. So if the young people decide to leave or whatnot, they go with knowledge, not just, I just know how to bale a bush, a thing of hay, bale of hay, but you don't have anything else cracking in your head. We have to critically think. We have to.
Not one thing, and you know what? And one thing that these Negroes don't even understand that our enemy knows is that one thing we can never get back is time.
Yes. Repeat that,
this is why they play. And guess what? And this is why they play chess versus checkers. Because haven't you noticed in the game of chess, they put a time. They put a time clock on it. Like, hey, you only got a certain amount of time to make your move. If not, then then you can't make that move no more. Hey, you sacrifice your time.
That's only in regulation play. If we're not doing regulation play, then you can take literally years or decades to make that move.
Exactly.
Right?
That's why we have to think. That's why we have to think years ahead. Yeah.
We are prisoners of war, therapists. We are prisoners of war, and we do not have the time. We don't have the time like that. We better understand we're in regulation play due to our incarceration status. We are not on the other play.
I'm sorry, brother.
No, I was done. I was just letting everyone know.
But yeah, hey, and just to piggyback on what you said, brother. I mean, right now, our people think that, hey, we can just play around and mess around. Mm-hmm. They think they got another day because we have so normalized dysfunction to where, hey, dysfunction is just, hey, it's a part of us now.
Right.
We'll let anything go.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what the show I did earlier today, and I pointed out what the hub's about. The hub is not a fucking freak, Nick. The hub will not be a place for people to spit their tyrannical game on people. The hub is not a place for drug dealers to do their activities. This is for families and men and women, not just women and children, but men too. Like I said, men are supposed to be the last on the fucking lifeboat, but damn it, brother, get on the lifeboat too. You don't have to stay out there and drown. Get on the lifeboat. This ain't one of these deals where you got to stay off. I want everybody on.
Yep.
And that's what it's about.
But you know what, brother? Truth. Unfortunately, everybody ain't getting on. And in reality, do we really want everybody on? Because if we really had everybody on, I mean, the boat would sink. So it needs to be a thinning of the herd. It does.
And you know what? As a humanitarian, I have to concede that point to you because it hurts me to think that way. But I do realize.
I know. Guess what? I had to realize that, and it hurt me too. But it's the thinning of the herd, man. It's not that. Guess what? We're in the end game. No Thanos.
Yes. The snap has already been happening. The snap happened back in 1492.
Yeah. I mean, we've had it. If there's some Israelites listening right now, according to biblical, and I'm not, I'm going with the Israelites on this shit. According to scripture, we've had 400 years in a curse. I don't know what the curse is, but whatever. But now it's 2019. Well, that curse is broken. So now,
it's time
we're in the end game now.
It's time to get up. We got to stop sitting down. It's time to get up and start doing this. Yeah. You know, this is what I'm talking about. This is about solutions. Everyone's want to bitch about, moan about this and that. Their kids getting shot, them getting shot, can't get loans, can't do this, can't do that, gonna get evicted. Fuck that. Join the fucking hub. Put your money into the hub. We'll set this thing up and come out here with us.
Yep. One by one, we're going to do it, brother.
Thank you.
We're doing it already. We're doing it already.
Yes, I am so thankful you called. We are all so thankful you called. You didn't have to, brother, but I appreciate you did.
Well, guess what? Are you going on later on tonight or something?
I might. I don't know. I know that.
Well, guess what? If you choose to, I'll be on with you to represent, man, and we can do an hour session, and we can just chop it up, man, on a topic.
That's right on. That's totally right on. I'm versed in many topics. I'm not no one-dimensional guy.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, guess what? We are not mono. Let me tell you one thing I love about our people. We are not We're not monolithic thinkers.
No. But that has been our detriment too, because of the fact that we are too individualized. That now, brother therapist, I can't come and work with you to do a couple of things.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And that time is over. No, you work with that other person.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If you see that person has a strength, you work with that person to build them up.
Yes.
It has nothing, and the thing is, it has nothing to do with you, because you're going to be built up automatically, because you're going to get insight, you're going to learn, you're going to get the intuition.
Yes.
You know, you're going to understand, and overstand, you know, what to do and what not to do, because each one teach one.
Yes.
Each one teach one.
We have to share our knowledge. We have to share our trade secrets. We have to share these things that's why I told these young brothers and sisters, look, I got this channel with all these damn videos on it. Take these damn videos, make your own channel, get monetized, and then use a portion of that money to the hub. Send that into the hub fund. That will secure your spot, secure your land, secure your home to the rest of your days if you want to be. Yep. This is how we have to do it. We have to start thinking strategically and outside the box. Because until we get the reparations, we need to be financially astute and taken care of in many ways. The hub is our best option at this point.
I totally agree. Totally agree. And I hope everybody out here listening to this on this beautiful channel, that you know the truth that the truth has put out for y'all to listen to. Hey, heed his words. Heed his words. Hey, brother. Hey, guess what, man? You're a true gift, brother.
Man, thank you, brother. No, seriously, thank you. I'm honored. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, and peace and blessings to you. But what I'll do is I'm gonna put my email address in the comment section, and email me, and we'll chop it up from there, and we'll go from there, brother.
Righteous, brother. Thank you. Peace, love, and light to you.
Peace and blessings to you, brother, and peace and blessings to the family that's listening right now.
Man, we're blessed, y'all. We are totally blessed. Thank you, brother. We are totally blessed, y'all. Look, there's those of us who serve in silence. They serve in silence, sis. There's those of us who are out in front. But we're all working towards the same goal, y'all. We're all working towards peace and unity. Not in some sort of cryptid, oh my God, every, hour or so we all got to meet and do chants. And no, none of that. I want peace and unity with liberty. Meaning that you can do what you need to do to fulfill yourself, brothers and sisters. Your spiritual walk is your spiritual walk. Not saying that you shouldn't fellowhood. Absolutely fellowhood with people who think like you. But let's get back to this show. And I want to tell you guys, This is coming to your school. No chance, Brother Air, no chance. It's about liberty and freedom. Now listen to what this man's saying. He's going to hip you to the game that's coming down.
Undermine science education, not just in my state, but nationwide. Referred to then as a culture war, it was and is a coalition of apologetics ministries and pseudoscience propaganda mills determined to spread misinformation across all public media, including the classroom, to cause confusion about and rejection of science in an effort that was accidentally, publicly, admittedly intended to promote religious fundamentalism instead, as if that were the default alternative or even qualified as an alternative at all. Understand that although I am an official representative of American atheists and vehemently opposed to religious faith,
he's not alone, y'all. He is not alone. And many of our so-called scientists fall into this yoke. These people are organized, and these people have the ear of the powerful. Now, I hope you guys really get this and understand what he's saying. Because there will be a point in time where people have this mindset and they're going to look at your condition and they're going to say straight up, it's not because of us. It's because you are genetically and evolutionarily inferior to us. You better hear the code that's being spoken. Evolution only says one thing. Yeah, black started it off, but white is the end game. That's what evolution truly states. Listen to him.
Organization attempting to condemn evolution specifically or science in general are all motivated by religious faith, but this is not a simple dichotomy of us versus them. So when I make reference to them in this presentation, I'm not talking about all Christians or the other half or anything. I'm talking about a specific subset. The dogmatic zealots that I'm talking about today, for them, this is very much a matter of faith versus fact. Creationism isn't a universal aspect of religion. It's religious extremism, requiring a degree of reality denial in defense of doctrine, a collection of myths and legends which must be believed solely on the basis of their imagined authority, both in lieu of evidence and even in spite of evidence to the contrary. So creationism is at least an objection to evolution.
Bam! Hold on, y'all. I gotta stop that. Brother Al made a very, very substantial point. Scientists is not special, just using a method created by man and not the creator. To follow them is to follow Satan. Let that sink in. Let that marinate you out as we listen to this presentation.
But depending on how they interpret those fables, creationists can also reject astronomy, cosmology, tectonics, geologic history, biochemistry, heliocentricity, geosphericity, and in some cases, science as a whole, both in principle and practice. Creationist organizations often publish statements of faith, publicly admitting, as if this were something to be proud of, that they will automatically and thoughtlessly reject, without consideration, any and all evidence there could ever be against their position. American creationists are usually Christian and believe the Bible is absolutely infallible, the inerrant word of God in all their parts and on all matters of which they speak, history, theology, science, etc. Despite all the
he attacks Christians now, but Muslim brothers and sisters, he comes from you also in other videos. This gentleman attacks all spirituality. He realizes once you remove the human from the spirituality, that human is basically subjugated to being just a bag of meat.
Obvious errors, absurdities, atrocities, inconsistencies, and contradictions therein. Some hail the Bible as the only source of truth in our world and say, let all else be a lie. As if the sacred fables are always absolutely right, regardless, and as if reality could ever be wrong, when neither of these are even possible. Of course, the reality is that reality is real, by definition. So it can't be wrong regardless. And it still wouldn't be even if it was an illusion, because that's still our reality. We have to adhere to its rules. But all our religions certainly have to be wrong about something somewhere, but none of them can show that they're right about anything anywhere. The truth is what the...
Right there is what he said. Now, if none of these religions can show where they're right, then why are they being taught to our children? Brother Al, I wish the Creator would snatch the life spirit right out of them in front of them. I know the feeling, Brother Al, but this is how you know the Most High is loving, because he gives us free will to talk this nonsense. Brother Jack Hunt, there is no religion. You got that right, brother. Spirituality, being one with the Most High, is not a religious endeavor. It's a personal step in faith. To serve him honorably and truthfully should be your mission.
The facts are what we can show to be true. There is no truth in any religion, because none of them can show that they're any more accurate than all the others, or that they're even right about whatever they agree on. There is absolutely no indication whatsoever at all that anything supernatural exists outside of our imagination.
But before he continues, it's not your own lives, brothers and sisters, that's transpiring right now as I speak, right now as you listen. Isn't this somewhat magical? I mean, how many trees, how many inchworms, how many rhinoceros are logging onto the internet, talking to other rhinoceros, other inchworms, other organisms on the other side of the planet potentially? Just the fact that you can say something and I can understand it in my mind and consciousness, and in some ways feel your pain or feel your happiness, is magic in itself. Brother Al, there is no book of the messages that states of a religion, nor is it in any book other than the mankind produced. Jack Hunt, we as black people, we are melanated. We as black people are melanated. Yes, we're melanated so that the very life-giving sun that energizes the food and animals that we consume doesn't kill us, doesn't cause us to blister and hurt being out there doing what we need to do to gather resources we need to live. That's what makes us so strong and powerful. It also what makes us so lacking towards needing help from one another. Those white folks are vampires. Well, I'm sure you could look at it like, yeah, if they go out in the sun, they get burnt to hell up. Absolutely. What's up, Brother Tony? Welcome to the show. But you got to understand, the white folks that harmed you, the white folks that hate you, for the most part, are white brothers and sisters that kind of think like this guy. They don't want to see your humanity. They will only see what they believe to be the reality. What's up, Keys? Welcome to the show. Glad you made it. Brother Air, if there's archangels was cast down there too. Wait, where to? Hell, below, where? Oil, but dead and buried there after being born into this world, turning. Listen, if you don't believe in the spiritual world, that's on you. That's your free will kicking in. You don't have to believe in, you don't, or any of that. But when you start seeing scenarios pop up in your life that cannot be explained through so-called rational and normal thinking, then what's left? I'm not trying to be all like, oh my God, I was taken up onto the mountain and no. I would love to be taken up to the mountain and given some extraordinary wisdom. But no, I do know what's written on my heart. I do know what's written in my spirit. And I do know what I would like to see for all of us. I would like to see us united. I would like to see us with clarity of purpose and common cause. And I would like to see us survive the catastrophe that's coming our way. I didn't grow up with you guys. We didn't share ice cream cones when we were 10 and 11 and all that. But I still have love for you. Even though I don't know you, I still have love for you because you are human. You are of me. And I want the best for us. Because my life is made richer with the joy in your life. And I sincerely hope your life is made richer with the joy in my life. I want us to survive this thing, guys. That's why I'm going out on a limb with all that I do. Wholeheartedly, sincerely. You may call me weird or crazy. You may call me a lunatic. But I sincerely believe that you all my human brothers and sisters, and hermaphrodites, you all are the salt of my world. I truly believe when we lose a brother or sister, whether to old age or murder or disease, that the earth becomes a little less until a new one is born. We are special on so many levels. Brother Al, Brother Tony, Brother Finn, Brother Jack, Brother Air, Brother Spiritual, Truth Talk Nation in the house. All of our energies, if united, we could form Voltron and we could fight the evil roe beast of the night. Let's continue.
We've certainly never seen anything magically created, for example, but we have a long list of facts, things we know and can show to be true of evolution. For example, it is a fact that evolution happens, that biodiversity and complexity do increase, and that both occur naturally only by evolutionary means, that alleles vary with increasing distinction in reproductive populations, and that these are accelerated in genetically isolated groups. It is a fact that natural selection, sexual selection, and genetic drift have all been proven to have predictable influence in guiding this variance, that significant mutations do occur and are inherited by descendant groups, and that multiple independent sets of biological markers exist to trace these lineages backward over many generations. It is a fact that mallards are a subset of ducks, which are a subset of birds, which are a subset of dinosaurs, in the same way that humans are a subset of apes, primates, eutherian mammals, and vertebrate deuterostome animals.
Therefore, you're not a child of God, Brother Al. You're not a child of God, Brother Keys. Truth Talk Nation, you're just a monkey. Tony, you're not a child of God. Brother Finn, you're not a child of God. You're just an evolved monkey. Evolved gorilla. That's what he's saying. And that's what he's saying that we should be teaching our children. So when they throw a fucking banana at you, brothers and sisters, they're saying they reject that you're not farther evolved than they are. Let's continue.
That every animal on Earth has relatives either living elsewhere or evident in the fossil record. It is a fact that the collective genome of all animals has been traced to its most basal form, and that those forms are also indicated by comparative morphology, physiology, and embryological development, in addition to a suite of genetic confirmations provided by whole genome sequence comparisons or specific mutations, molecular vestiges, endogenous retroviruses, and so on.
And Bird, I don't want you to think that you're escaping. You're just a monkey too, according to this man. Let's continue.
It is not surprising that the National Academy of Science declares evolution to be both a fact and a theory, although every modern scientific theory is also a fact. Relativity, cell theory, tectonic plate theory, heliosphericity, atomic theory, the germ theory of disease, and the extended evolutionary synthesis are not just theories. They are all objectively verifiable facts within a particular field of study or body of knowledge, which is what a scientific theory is.
No, Brother Chris, don't you get it? Underneath this guy's polluted and diluted mind, white folks are the most evolved humans on the planet, brother. Don't you see? You wasn't created by no divine God, Brother Chris. You're just an evolved monkey who's less evolved than that guy. If you subscribe to this ideology, that's where it ends. I don't give a fuck who tries to tell you. That's where it ends.
Creationists habitually misrepresent what a scientific theory is as if it's only a blind guess, like their own position is. Because science has a rule that theories can only be disproved. They can't be proved positively. And this demonstrates a few more ways that science works opposite of faith, by trying to disprove itself, encouraging skepticism rather than belief, rewarding those who can overturn the status quo, and by allowing the facts to challenge any authority. But the reason no scientific theory has been disproved in more than 100 years is because the criteria has become a bit more strict since 1783, when Antoine Laurent Lavoisier disproved phlogiston theory and replaced it with oxygen theory. Do y'all think oxygen is just a theory? Lavoisier didn't think that that was strong enough to be a theory. He considered it only a hypothesis. So what is it now? Oxygen has been effectively proven, so it's a fact within a theory, within the larger chemistry theory. And nowadays, before a hypothesis can graduate to the level of theory, it has to be effectively proven, at least in a colloquial sense, by demonstrating profound predictive and explanative power, and by withstanding a substantial battery of critical analysis and peer review.
Brother Al, he is coming with fire today, Al. You got to see it for the truth. The colors don't exist until you put value in color. Now you lose your spiritual level because you become clouded with hate and indifference. I hope y'all understand what he's saying, because that's some heavy stuff. Well, I'm not going to ask this man what 666 means. What about the racism theory? Yeah, he won't talk about that truth. He won't talk about that, because that'll get too close to fucking home. Now, he'll get you going down the rabbit hole, but he won't tell you where that rabbit hole pops out at.
Evolution has done both of these in spades. Not only do its predictions keep coming true without any contradiction ever, while it survives some of the most rigorous critical scrutiny that's ever been applied to any theory, it's actually come out more robust and better supported than the theory of gravity. Meanwhile, intelligent design creationism meets exactly none of the criteria required of a scientific theory. It has no explanative power because magic doesn't explain anything. It has no supportive evidence, no model of any kind, no testable hypotheses, no natural laws or equivalent alternatives for the supernatural, which doesn't have any evident reality either, and it offers absolutely nothing to the sum of human understanding of anything that is real. An emotional crutch, not unlike an addictive drug, is the most some people can get out of that.
Did you hear what he just called you, brothers and sisters? If you have this thing that we call spirituality, it's an emotional crutch. You're a fucking crackhead. That's what he's saying. That's what these people, that's what all these people right here are understanding. If you're sitting up here saying the Most High is real, God's real, then you're nothing more than a sniveling little punk holding on to imagination. That's what he's saying. Brother Air. Notice he used evolution, love, flip-flop, evolution, and then exactly no exit to the rabbit hole, same as never having solutions to the problem against agenda created. Brother Chris. So, is America trying to do blacks like Jews in Germany? Okay. Let me explain what's going on with the so-called black man. I would say the indigenous, the American or indigenous Turtle Island Aboriginal. They got to get rid of the nation shame. It's pretty hard to run around the world and say, hey, you stop abusing this person. Hey, you give these people rights. Hey, you do this, you do that. When people look at your nation and they see you actively abusing a portion of your nation. Actively. They're at this point in time, guys, if you don't read the news headlines, you don't read news articles, you're out the game. But they are actively oppressing, subjugating, and killing us. Actively. So you guys want to sit here and say that what he's saying isn't going to be coming into pass? He's opening up the mark of the beast, mandatory. Because in the interest of public health and safety, we got to know where everyone's at. He's activating, forget the old ways, embrace this new scientific method, irregardless of the Tuskegee experiments, the experiments at Plum Island, the experiments that are going on right now with brothers and sisters who are so-called missing, but they're being dosed up and fucking basically experimented on. I want to free the people. I don't want people like him and his yoke taking so-called homeless brothers or sisters or disenfranchised brothers, snatching them up and doing tests on them so that they can create a better drug that would just help you mask the cure or the symptoms. Never cure your body, just mask the symptoms. Oh, brother, ow, you're coming with the fire. We are still 3/5 of the man of a human in their eyes. Nothing has changed. We free from a executive order and nothing else. Wake up, family. That's what I'm talking about, brother. Until I look at Brother Al, and I don't see Brother Al as some degenerate scumbag trying to steal my shit, trying to fuck my woman, trying to subvert my children. Until I stop looking at Brother Al like that. And you do too. And you stop looking at me like that. You stop looking at Brother Chris like that, Brother Air, Brother Truth Talk, and everyone else. There's no hope for us, family. We have been played on by people with massive intellectual capability. Until we recognize that and understand what that really entails, we have better get together. That's why I'm saying the hub is our best bet. Now, I'm going to be talking to a brother of mine in the next day, and I have to go to the state of Missouri and look at what is all entailed in forming the 501c, actual in structure and form. And I'm going to make that happen. I'll use my own money to form it and get it started. Because I believe in us. I believe in you. And hold on. Let me go to the GoFundMe. Hopefully this will, well, actually I can go here. Hold on. I'm going to go, I'm doing this real time, guys. Sorry. I don't have a helper or none of that to help me out. So I kind of got to do it myself. But it's okay. We are going to get it done. Hold on. Supposed to be high-speed internet. There it is. Copy. Here's the link to the GoFundMe for the hub. I wrote down a few things about it and what it's about. 100,000. Looks like we got a couple something going on. So that's that. I still got the old Patreon. All right. Still got the Patreon account cracking. Not much. I'm not ashamed. $5. Not much. A lot of different tiers or whatever. But let me show you guys. I want to share this with y'all real quick. I want to share this with you. Now, most YouTubers ain't going to do this. They're not going to show you behind the scene bullshit. But I will with y'all. Hold on. All right. Hold on. Let me make sure. Okay, cool. We got 1 million watch time minutes, gal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's you guys. 1 million watch time minutes. And that's been for the last 28 days. All right. Let's go into here. I want to, we'll quit playing around. We'll show you guys. I'm going to do analytics. I want to show you guys the amount of revenues earned. All right. Now, that's here, right? I want you guys to see all this. When I go up to lifetime, let's do lifetime. Where is it at? It's not. Oh, here. No. Hold on 1 second. I gotta make this bigger. Okay. If I have to pull this up on my cell phone, I will. I want to show you guys this number. But while I do that, I will play more of this video. I'll just pull it up on my cell phone.
Creationists will not admit what a scientific theory is because they're okay with not having evidence for their belief as long as they can ignore all the evidence that proves that they're wrong. So they will never propose a testable hypothesis that could potentially falsify their belief system the way every theory in science always does. The only value any information can have is however accurate we can show it to be, because only accurate information has practical application. But if you can't show that it is accurate at all, then it has no value at all. And that's why every sermon from every theologian and all the fables and all the scriptures are baseless. And thus,
all right, this is what I want to show y'all. Hopefully you can see it. Hold on. Oh my God. Hold on 1 second. Let me scoot this over so I can actually see. I want you guys to see this. This is kind of important, especially for those guys of y'all thinking that you're going to take there. All right. Now, That's year to date right there. $640, and basically been since January of this year. All right. If you use the new material, make your own website, YouTube channel, use these videos, I pretty much guarantee you at least that. And with a portion of that, you can help the hub. All right. And this is, hold on, let me show you. That's a lifetime. Let's go to the last 24 days. There's what it is the last 24 days. $104. But you know, I only do this show, what, an hour every other day or so? Maybe an hour every few days. But let's continue. I'm just saying that because I truly want you guys to use these videos, help get the message out, and put a couple of dollars in your pocket. And I'm telling you straight up right now, I give you authorization to do this.
Worthless rambling, however entertaining they may be as fictional folklore. It is dishonest to assert empty, unsupported speculation as if it were a matter of verifiable fact, yet that's what all religions do. Faith is just the auto-deceptive practice of making up facts that aren't facts and pretending to know things no one even can know. In any other application, this would be called talking out of your ass.
But how does he say this? When I bring you, y'all, Mark for Anaheim, we have documents showing that he's saying things that happen before they happen. That just shatters everything he just said. Mark told the people a year before the LA riots happened, the LA riots going to happen. This is going to be the worst riots of UF history. How did he know that? Science wouldn't show you how he knows that. Spirituality, y'all. That's how he knows it. That's how he knows things that are going to happen before they happen. He's in tune. He's in click with the spirit. Let's continue.
But in religion, it's referred to as revealed truth. Even though every postulation from any religion is either not evidently true or is evidently not true, faith refuses to admit that either, making it the most dishonest position it is possible to have. Understand that unsupported assertions have no more validity than claims that have already been proven wrong. So if you can't show that you're right, you're not. There's no benefit of the doubt, there's just doubt. You have to provide a reason to believe you. If you don't have any evidence, there's literally nothing to talk about. Science is only concerned with what is supported by evidence, and whatever is not supported doesn't warrant serious consideration. Come back when you have something to show, then we'll have something to consider. For this reason, accuracy and accountability are paramount in science, where these things don't seem to matter at all in religion. Science works where religion doesn't, because science is the antithesis of faith and deals with knowledge rather than belief, because every postulation must be based on prior evidence already indicating that conclusion. Otherwise, they would have no determinable reality and may be indistinguishable from the illusions of delusion. It doesn't matter what you believe. All that matters is why you believe it. What is your evidence? Because only that will determine whether I should believe it too. Otherwise, as Christopher Hitchens said, what can be asserted without evidence may be dismissed without evidence. And Pascal's wager is invalid as well, as he surely discovered when he died and appeared before Allah and was punished for believing in the wrong God, or the wrong version of God. Or he might have been reincarnated as a cow, and I ate him with a ghost pepper marinade. It was great. Or his life force was absorbed back into the biosphere of Gaia. Of course, the only actual possibility is that he died and stayed dead. Be as open-minded as you like. Entertain any possibility that actually is possible, but don't let yourself be fooled into believing things you can't objectively verify. You can't just say that anything is possible either, because there's many things that are not possible.
I think that's funny when most black folks talk about racism. They'll be first, oh, it don't exist. You have Obama. It's not objectively verifiable. It's fucking bullshit. You forsake your spirituality. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, I don't care what skin bag you are. You forsake your spirituality. You are totally lost.
Possible. Unless you live in cartoon land. Before a scientist can say whether something is possible, there must be some precedent or parallel or verified phenomenon indicating that such a possibility exists. If you don't have that, there's literally no possibility. And we don't have that for anything supernatural. Worse than that, there is no mechanism or logic by which supernatural things could exist or do anything miraculous. That's why the word...
Oh, yeah, we talked about the 13th Amendment here. We have talked about this right here. Slavery. Hold on. Let me. I gotta. Oh, no, you hear the live studio audience. They just showed up. But this is too important to stop the broadcast just because we might hear a little fighting or yelling or screaming in the background. It's just children being children. The slavery still exists, y'all. And many of us, the only crime you really have to be guilty of is being melanated. Straight up. That's your crime. You're melanated. So keep on talking this political will overcome BS and keep on getting shot and beat, or else you join the freaking hub and you separate yourself from this madness and you can live free in liberty. Let's continue because this stuff is coming down, y'all. This atheism is coming down and it's coming into our schools. And as you say that God created the universe and everything within, you're going to be made to look to be a fool.
Words miraculous and supernatural are both synonymous with the word magical. Just because you don't know a scientific explanation doesn't mean it's explained by magic. And just because you believe in the supernatural doesn't mean you can reject the things that we can show to just be natural. Yet, the basis of most creationist arguments seems to be contrasting naturalism with mysticism, as if you have to choose between the two. I've debated many believers who couldn't refute my evidence without rejecting the reality in which they exist. In one debate, on live video, I told my...
The reason why, brother, is because of his rap. Not his particular rap. I'm not saying that's what happened down there where you're from, Brother Al. But you got to understand the words he's saying. They're being absorbed by the people who have power and control. They're looking at us who have spirituality, who believe in the Most High, who want to serve the Most High. They're looking at us like we are fools and we are Neanderthals stuck in a primitive state of being, which can be no further from the truth. Love you too, baby.
My opponent that his position was so weak that the only way he could be right was if reality was wrong. And so he would have to argue that our understanding is false or the reality is wrong, some kind of excuse that we don't actually know anything. Within 2 minutes, he did exactly that. He said, I couldn't prove that I even existed 2 weeks ago because I could have been created as a brain in a vat and fed false memories. So I congratulated him on doing exactly what I predicted he would do. A false reality. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, a delusion is a persistent false belief that is maintained despite indisputable evidence to the contrary. To falsely claim something even when there is evidence otherwise. What makes these beliefs delusional is that they don't change when the person is presented with conflicting information. The beliefs remain fixed even when the facts contradict them.
And the facts. Have you guys seen the show I did like 2 shows ago? How his facts are saying the Earth was made, a bunch of meteorites hitting each other, coalescing into a ball of basic fire, the moon rotating on its axis as it's being formed, but yet it does not rotate on its axis now. Yeah. But he has the truth, Brother Al. And you have nothing but fiction and fantasy, which is spirituality. Fuck that. That's bullshit lies.
For example, the leading creationist organization, AnswersInGenesis.org, says in their statement of faith, no apparent, perceived, or claimed evidence in any field, including history and chronology, can be valid if it contradicts the scriptural record. This organization...
So his whole game plan, let me just break it down. And those of you who get it, get it. Those of you who don't, won't. The Edomites make up the books. The Edomites contradicts the books that they made up. And then you, as an individual, are supposed to give up your fucking spirituality. Come on, man. Let's get with it.
Is led by Ken Ham, who famously debated Bill Nye the Science Guy, and also said in that debate that no amount of proof would ever change his mind. Likewise, Bob Jones University is an evangelical Christian college that defines revealed truth as whatever is revealed in Scripture, regardless whether it has any possible support. Quote, if it is in the Bible, it is already true without requiring additional proof, unquote. Now, we would correctly recognize that as a fallacy, being commonly defined as a mistaken belief, especially one based on an unsound argument, which this certainly is. But a Bob Jones University student textbook on biology defines a fallacy as that which contradicts God's revealed truth, no matter how scientific, how commonly believed, how apparently workable or logical it may seem. So in the upside-down world of fundamentalism, fallacy means fact, and fact means false, and truth means what you cannot show to be true. And I've also heard creationists argue that evidence isn't evident because facts aren't factual or objective, because, they say, facts are only subjective opinions. And this is how religion impedes, retards, or reverses everything. Likewise, we commonly understand a fool to be someone who too readily accepts improbable claims from questionable sources on insufficient evidence. So it's no surprise that the Bible and the Quran both use the opposite definition because those books are used to fool you. Understand that being theist, whether...
Understand. Did you hear what he said? The Bible and the Quran. He's coming after everybody. He wants to take spirituality from all you brothers and sisters. I don't care what type of religion you subscribe to. It's all foolishness underneath his definitions. And he has the ears, not him personally, but the people who think like him, or the people who have power.
Christian or Muslim or what have you does not necessarily mean you're a creationist. Creationism requires a rejection of evolutionary science at least, or at least the big picture where humans are related to animals as part of nature instead of apart from it. But also, more generally, creationism is an objection to methodological naturalism, which is sometimes referred to as the scientific method. That means they get to ignore all the rules that all conclusions must be verifiable and all hypotheses must be falsifiable, because that means all explanations must be natural, as opposed to supernatural or magical. Miracles and magic share the same definition, being the evocation of supernatural forces or entities to control or forecast natural events in ways which are inexplicable by science because they defy the laws of physics, making them impossible, physically impossible by definition, and thus creation is impossible by definition. Believers want to ignore...
Hold on. Stop. Brother Al has a point. Man, come with that fire. I gotta call you the lion. Come with that fire. I only get seasick in rough seas, down in the belly of a ship or a boat. But if I was continuously moving at 1,000 miles per hour, I'd like to add, why would I get motion sickness at all? Why would you indeed, brother? Why would you indeed?
All the practical realities we can prove and instead posit impractical, irrational, and already disproved assumptions of magical explanations that can't be indicated or vindicated or in any way justified. So even if they were right about something, there'd be no way to know what they were right about, or just...
Even though it's still the truth and they can't in their mental capacity understand the truth, therefore it can't be the truth because they can dig up a rock or a bone that someone probably put there 100 years ago. And that's how they know where to dig, by the way. But they can dig up this bone or whatever and prove, hey, somebody was doing this here so many years ago, and we can carbon date this. Come on, let's continue.
See what they didn't get right at all. And more importantly, the purpose of science is to improve understanding. And the only way to do that is to seek out the flaws in your current perspective and correct them.
But the only flaws in most people's current perspective is the hate. The isms. The isms. The problem is when you give up your spiritual capacity, you give up your capacity to truly be in touch with the source.
You can't do that if you won't admit that there could even be flaws in your perspective that might need correction. And that's why there are so many, often violently conflicting denominations.
See, he should be saying this rap to the white nationalists and haters out there that just want to kill people because they black or quote unquote non-white. That's who he should be rapping to. But he is rapping to them, but they're not hearing that message. They're hearing, we are supreme. We are the most evolved species of humans on this planet. Blah, blah, blah.
Denominations within so many distinctly different religions, all claiming to be the absolute truth, when none of them can show that they have any truth to their claims at all. Faith allows you to make up whatever you want to believe for no reason at all, and then look for whatever you think aligns with or supports that, even if you have to misrepresent it, distort it, or fabricate it. It's important to note that evolution is not the hoax that believers say it is, but creationism is a hoax. And they perpetuated an awful lot of criminal frauds to promote that belief. These are
no more criminal frauds than what they portray in the moon landing, right? We went there 30 years ago, but we can't go there now. So let's just hear more of them.
More elements of reality denial that I'll explain in a moment. Not every believer is willing to go this far, to such extremes. If you move from one faith to another, you often adopt a different collection of man-made mythological, theological nonsense. But if you walk away from faith itself, then you no longer shard into different denominations. You follow evidence to zero in on the one and only truth that everyone who follows evidence zeroes in on. This is one way of telling which is true and which is not. This is an entirely different and superior way of thinking. If you look at perspectives on science and religion on a global scale, you'll see that most Christians are evolutionists, and most evolutionists worldwide are Christian. It used to be that way in America, too. Decades ago.
Why do they keep shooting each other in Colorado? Here's why. Brother Malcolm Shabazz said it best. The roosters coming home to roost. What goes around comes around. So beautiful. So truthful. Brother Al.
It was that the common man understood that science was objectively verifiable reality, and you'd have to be a fool or delusional to deny that. Yet at the same time, most everyone who accepted science also thought that you have a soul that goes somewhere when you die. This middle-of-the-road position was apparently the mainstream until just the last few decades. Now what's happening is that religion is in a general state of decline, both at home and abroad. Islam is the fastest growing religion, but it is also experiencing attenuation. The Saudi government is complaining about the rise of atheists in their own population, even though they've imposed a death penalty for disbelief. And this factor isn't accounted for in any statistics that talk about how fast religion is growing, because they don't take your name off the roster when you no longer believe. Christians like to play their persecution card, bragging that there are Muslim countries where they might be killed for their beliefs. But there are also Muslim countries where Christianity is not illegal and atheism is. And that might get you tortured or killed. So you can die for what you don't believe.
See how he's trying to take this thunder out of everybody? You know, everyone wants to demonize the Muslims. Oh my God, the Muslims will just kill you for this or that. And you know, you just go over there waving that flag, they'll take you out, blah, 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 blah. The evil boogeyman, huh? the evil boogeyman. Brother Al, he is an idiot when his own kind states of their journey into the other side. Well, exactly. Look, he's coming from a straight Edomite perspective, period.
Which, for myself at least, means I do believe in truth instead of lies. When I began,
So he does not believe in the Most High creating everything. He believes in a bunch of balls smashing into each other, becoming a liquid nickel and iron core that's spinning and producing a magnetic field around our planet to protect us. But he won't believe the old ways. I got you.
began my activism some 20 years ago, atheists represented less than 10% of the population. The dominant 80% was divided between Catholics and Protestants. More recent polls have shown that both of their numbers have dropped. Let's see, while those who lack any theistic belief are on the rise in every one of these United States. Regardless whether they recognize or realize that that makes them atheist, or whether they still call themselves agnostic or whatever, Americans who don't believe in any God now account for a quarter of the population, outnumbering Catholics, which I think is amazing. Last week, I saw a new poll implying that we've now climbed to just over a third of the population, and that the estimated.
Now, I hope you remember that show I did, I think 4 shows ago, when Bill Maher and Obama was talking, and Bill Maher said that atheist is the biggest minority in America, so fuck the blacks, fuck everybody else. It's all about atheism. Listen, evolution tells you straight up, Brother Al, you're just a monkey, dude. Have a banana, shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down, and punch your button until we get a robot to punch the button for you. And then you will just die. That's what he's saying, y'all. You better hear the message, the real message.
100 million unbelieving infidels now outnumbers Protestants. But while religion is in decline and atheism is on the rise, creationism is also on the rise. Now, how can both of these statistics be true at the same time? Because in the age of information, you have people.
Because in the age of humanity, you still have people who have the word of the Most High written on their hearts. That's why, you pathetic guy. I'm not going to cuss. I'm not going to say nothing vulgar. But I just want you all to understand that his rap is strong to the non-believer. His rap is right on to someone who is ethically, let's say, vulnerable. And no matter what these people say, people like Hitler, Chairman Mao, and Stalin did horrible things to humanity in the name of atheism.
Who are walking away from faith, which is fine. But you also have people who are objecting to that or reacting to that and walking away from science. And this leads to an increase in creationists, geocentrists, flat earthers, new age spiritual healers, and anti-vaxxers using alternative medicines that aren't at all medicinal.
Did you hear what he said? Anti-vaxxers, you're in this? People who heal not using IG Fermin products, or should I say bare aspirin. People who choose to walk in faith. You all are ignorant. You all are savages. You all are Neanderthals by this gentleman's definitions. He's calling you fools.
So we're losing that middle of the road position as the division widens between the rational versus the irrational. Understand that a rational perspective is based on and in accordance with reason and logic, but faith is an assertion of unreasonable conviction assumed without reason and defended against all reason. A rational person has sound reason and is willing to be reasoned with, and we've already seen that doesn't apply to creationists. Years ago, I read a poll of American atheists who were born into religious families.
I will say this for the young folks once again. No matter how sweet his words may sound to your ear, I beseech your heart, your soul. And I tell you with sincerity and honesty, God created this world. God created this universe. And God allows for free will so that this man can get up here and say the things he says. And for you to believe the things that you believe. You are in the right, my friend. If you want to be the servant of the Most High God of the whole universe, you want to be a part of the kingdom, you are right. And he is wrong. And yet again, that's why the hub is so desperately needed.
And raised Christian. The number one reason they gave for why they lost their faith was they read the Bible. The number two answer was the hypocrisy of the church, which has only gotten a lot worse since then. Scientific understanding was only tertiary. But that's still what I'm most concerned about. Because when we're talking about interpretations of ancient fables that may or may not be literal and may or may not be using prophetic language, then you can swap meanings. So that whenever it says this, it really means that if and when the Spirit moves you, or on alternating Thursday mornings. And so there's no reason to believe that any of that is real or true. But when the scriptures comment on science, like when it says that if cattle mate while looking at a striped stick, they will bear striped calves, then we can say decisively that the Bible got that wrong because it was written by people who had no idea about genetics. The idea that you either have to make...
I'm just going to go out here and tell you guys straight up. Unless you can actually read the physical manuscripts that are produced in front of your face without an interpreter, trust what's in your heart. Trust what's in your soul. Trust what's in your consciousness. Please, 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 please.
You either have to make believe in the absolute authority and accuracy of the sacred fables, or you have to reject God in order to understand and accept science. Is not only the logical fallacy of the false dichotomy, it's also the very first foundational falsehood of creationism, which of course is my book, which is back there on the table. In fact, the phrase...
There it is. He's trying to sell books, y'all. He's trying to pollute the minds and hearts of people to make an economic gain. Instead of saying, hey, y'all, keep your money. Keep it. I don't want you spending your little checks, your little hard-earned money on bullshit. Do that for yourself and your family. But if you have a hobby or something that makes money, use that money that doesn't need to go to your family and put it into the hub. Put it into our collective so we can buy land. And Brother Al, you can come up there with your beautiful queen and you can have your motorcycle, you can have your property, your house, no homeowner association. You put pink flamingos in front of it. Do whatever you want. That's your home. That's your castle. But it's in the empire of the hub. Protect it for in perpetuity. You don't ever have to pay no mortgage. You don't ever have to pay no taxes. I will come out and personally help you build it. We'll use the resources off the land, buy whatever we need to buy, and you guys will have a nice modern house with all heating and cooling, central air, all that. And then you just share your knowledge and your wisdom with the young folks at the hub. You share your skills set. You share what you know how to do with us. And it is amplified because all of us coming together. Let's continue. Because I'm telling you, in a few moments, you won't be able to get away from being chipped. Take the mark.
Big Bang, to describe cosmic inflation, was first coined by a Christian. Evidence of deep time, the different strata in the geologic column, genetics as an evolutionary matrix, and even the first mechanisms of evolution itself were all discovered by Christians. The laws of thermodynamics were devised by a 19th century proponent of intelligent design, who also said that he had no scientific argument against Darwin's theory, and he also maintained that thermodynamics demand that the Earth be at least tens of millions of years old. Many of the historic pioneers of evolutionary science were Christians, and the best champions of evolution are Christian, like the geneticist Theodosius Dobzhansky, who famously said that nothing in biology makes sense except in light of evolution. We're talking about mainstream, peer-reviewed professional scientists, evolutionary biologists and paleontologists, geneticists, geologists, cosmologists, and so on, who accept evolution and reject creationism, even though they still believe in the God of the Bible. The point is that none of these sciences are arguing naturalism versus mysticism, which is what creationists want this to all be about. Theistic evolutionists understand the science well enough to know that whether God exists or not, evolution is still an inescapable fact of population genetics. And not even the existence of God can change that or make the Bible turn out to be true anymore. We know it's not and still wouldn't be, even if God was real.
See,
Most of these theistic evolutionists.
See, once again, he's using this artificial construct as the common denominator, whether God exists or not. Now, if you understand about the Council of Nicaea, you understand about geopolitical moves that the Bible was used to sway from this side or that side, then you'll see what he's saying. I'm telling you, your faith is not dependent on any text or any manuscripts. Your faith should be determined by the Spirit within your consciousness. Let's continue.
Just like my Christian genetics professor, understand that much of Genesis is folklore. However, some of these theistic evolutionists hold traditional Christian beliefs, though they obviously have to interpret the Bible different than literalists do. For example, Professor Kenneth Miller, PhD, is literally a textbook evolutionist, being a cell biologist who co-authored the Prentice Hall textbook on biology with marine biologist Joseph Levine. He was also the star witness in Kitzmiller versus Dover, wherein the court ruled that intelligent design is just creationism under a new name. And in that trial, and in many other public discussions available on video, Miller has formally refuted every one of the arguments for irreducible complexity, and he has opposed intelligent design creationists in several venues, yet he identifies as a traditional Catholic himself. Likewise, paleontologist Robert T. Bacher has 2 PhDs, one from Harvard and one from Johns Hopkins, so he has serious credentials, and he was a consultant on Jurassic Park, the first one. Yet, Reverend Bacher is also an ordained Pentecostal preacher who says that to treat the Bible as though it were common history is to degrade its eternal meaning. Once backed into a corner, biblical literalists can't be forced to admit that much of the Bible is metaphorical, has to be, parables with a moral, that they're not necessarily actual history and would be indefensible as such. Such concessions admit logical faults that could cause their entire belief system to collapse. And very often, this belief in their collective mythology and theology is rather similar to an addiction to heroin, in that it matters more to them than anything else.
See, didn't I already tell you? He's going to equate your spirituality to drug addiction. Pretty pathetic, but it's sweet to the non-believer's ear.
Or more than their own health, their families, or their collective happiness or success. So they're very careful to avoid any compromise of their obligation to defend doctrinal delusion no matter what. And this is where we get into apologetics, the practice of systematically making up excuses to rationalize or justify flaws in your own position or dismiss and ignore any and all evidence against it. Because we're not talking about any honest evaluation of reality or pursuit of truth. It's a desperate desire to make believe something that is not true, and creationism is not and does not like the truth. I'm not saying that there's no honest creationists. I've met a few. And maybe it is that they hold the position that they do because everyone around.
But yet, the reality that we're all living, we're all conscious to a certain degree. That's not proof enough. Nope, we gotta be evolved monkeys, evolved apes, blah, blah, blah. And you guys don't understand. This is the second phase of chattel slavery because you're genetically inferior, psychologically inferior. Sad.
Around them does. Maybe they didn't think about it. Maybe they think there must be something to it since everybody they know believes in this. But, and maybe they're just innocently deceived by the propaganda machine. But sincere believers are easily cured. Once an honest creationist gets into this debate with somebody who knows both sides of the controversy better than he knows his own alone, he will very quickly face a life-altering choice, whether to remain honest or whether to remain creationist.
And that is his only hope, to get you to stop being spiritual, to get you to stop seeking and yearning for the love of the Most High. And this, my friends, is where I will end tonight. This has been TPIM SR Live. Today's date, May 13th, 2019, the year of our Lord. I hope that this broadcast is giving you something to think about, something to contemplate, to see where you fit into this maelstrom of misinformation, honestly. And with that being said, live your life with integrity, without hate, envy, or greed. And as always, brothers and sisters, let's be kinder to one another. I'm True Power's Mind, and I'm out. Peace.